here at Phelps Road, every single flat, all 15 of them, have one of these boxes embedded in the wall, in most cases in their living rooms. As you can see on this box, there are two satellite fixtures, which is the top left and the one on the right. Underneath those there is a TV and a radio, and to the right of the radio there's another TV port. So these provide you with a satellite signal, so the cabling from the satellite dish on top of the roof of this block of flats is distributed to all the flats and comes down to one of these junction boxes. The TV aerial, again, the cabling goes to every single flat and connects to the TV junctions here in the living room. On the right hand side, I'll just demonstrate this here. When you lift up, that's to connect your BT TV, your BT line for broadband. Now your internet service provider, your ISP, could be BT, or it could be Sky, or it could be Virgin, any of the internet service providers, and they use the old BT cabling that comes from outside the building. Now in my case, satellite, that plugs into SAT2, and that cable goes to my Sky Q black box, and that's my TV from the satellite. This is your standard coaxial cable for TV signals from your TV aerial, which in my case plugs into the one on the left. For my broadband, this is called a master microfilter. On the left you can do your phone, and on the right is the hub, which is broadband, and that just plugs into there. Like that. Now the phone, I don't have a landline. I don't bother using a landline. Okay, I'm outside my block of flats. That's the main entrance there. Right, the current system for providing broadband to these flats goes through down here on the street. BT. Yes, the LBT cabling comes through there. Now, the cabling obviously services the whole estate, going underneath the pavements in every direction, provide you with phone and with broadband. And what Openreach are doing is replacing that old cabling with modern fibre optic cable, and it will run alongside the old system through to this junction box. From here there will be a spur that runs into our building to provide us with the new fibre optic cable. Let's go inside and see where it will go to. And in actual fact, that cabling is going to come and run into this cupboard here. Now, excuse the scooter, which should not be there. This is not a storage cupboard, but the fibre optic cable will come in here, and there will be a junction box. That junction box, there will then be an individual strand of cable that will go to every flat in this building. The engineers will route the cable up the walls. In the case of my flat, which is to the left of me, the cabling will go through the wall here, I think, if I remember right. Excuse the squeaky door. And then it'll run underneath the ceiling, then they'll drill a hole and it'll go through the wall. And it comes out on the other side. It's a fire exit sign, don't know if I'll get in the way, but that's their problem, not mine. Then the individual strands of cables, one will go this way to that flat over there, and then the others will come along here, up underneath the ceilings. Let me turn the light on. There we go. This is my flat, so that cabling will run to there. The other flats will get cabling to above their doorways, those two there, and there's another flat down there. So there's 5 flats on the ground floor, 5 on the first, 5 on the second, and this individual cabling, as I said, will all come and it will finish just above your doorway, and that's it. Once they've done that, Openreach have finished their job, and then this is where the conundrum comes in. How do you connect to that from your flat? The Openreach engineer told me that once they've provided the cabling to go to the outside of your door, to connect to it, you'll need to contact your internet service provider. So that would be somebody like BT, Sky, Virgin, TalkTalk, whoever your internet service provider is. Contact them, and it's their responsibility under their contract with you as the customer to provide the best connection possible. So he says there should be no charge for this, but your internet service provider should contact BT to get a BT engineer to come out to your property, and that engineer will drill a hole through the wall to bring the cable into the flat. Then what needs to happen is that that cable needs to connect to a small white box called an optical network terminal. I'll just call it a white box. And that white box needs fixing on the inside of your flat on a wall. Now it needs to be near a power socket. So in my case, if you look behind me, the only place where there's a power socket is on the wall in between main bedroom, second bedroom. So what they would have to do is run the cable along the top, just underneath the ceiling, along that wall, above the entrance to the main bedroom, along to the centre here, and bring it down onto this wall where they would fix the white box. The power cable would obviously then go down to its socket, and that would power it up. That white box then needs to be connected to the router that your internet service provider has given you for their broadband. In my case, this is my broadband box from Sky. Above it is the Sky Q box, which is connected to the satellite, and that provides me with Sky TV. But Sky Broadband comes through this black box, which is a router, and that broadcasts Wi-Fi throughout my flat. The question is, how do you connect that black box and the white box, which will be over there? Good question. This is part of the conundrum of what on earth happens once you get the new fibre optic cable from Openreach coming into your property. So the Openreach engineer told me that your internet service provider is responsible for contacting BT to get a BT engineer to come do the connection from above there, in my case along the wall, down here, put the white box on there, power it up from the socket there, and then make sure the connection to the black, in my case, the black box from Sky actually works. They've not provided any details about how this is going to work, because when you look at my black box, what you have on the left, the blue is power cable, on the right is the black cable which plugs into the hub from BT under the old system into that socket at the back of these units. So now that black cable should actually connect to the white box in the hall. The black cable needs to connect to the white box. So is it really going to be a case that an engineer would come in, fit the white box over there, and then run a cable, presumably back up to the ceiling, along the edge of the ceiling over there, drill through the wall to come into the living room, and then run the cable all the way along the ceiling, or maybe running it down to the skirting board, and then run it along and over into the corner, which is where the old setup currently provides the connection to my Sky broadband router. Really? Seems an awful lot to do. The other option, of course, would be to move this black box, because it is a router, so it is providing Wi-Fi throughout this flat. So could that black box be moved into the hallway and placed alongside the white box, the optical network terminal from BT, screwed to the wall in some way, side by side, and then just a short cable connecting the white box to the black box. The black box obviously needs power, so in the same way as the white box, it would run down to that junction there. White box, black box, broadcast Wi-Fi throughout the flat. The Openreach engineer says that the new fibre optic cable, when connected to the white box, the ONT in your flat, will provide a much stronger and more reliable Wi-Fi signal. So I suppose you could just rely on the white box and the black box here. So the next question: cost. The Openreach engineer said that in my case I have Sky broadband, therefore I should contact Sky, tell them that Openreach have now provided fibre optic cable to this building and to the outside of my flat. He thinks that Sky should not charge me for doing the next step, which is Sky contacting BT to get a BT engineer to come out and fit the white box in my hallway, and then connect the white box to my black box as a test to see and make sure that it's working. He wouldn't leave that connection in place. That's not his responsibility. So, would Sky contact BT and get a BT engineer to come out? And would Sky not charge me for doing this? And would BT not charge me for doing this either? Good question. And then of course, once the white box has been fitted and the connection has been checked but not left, how do I permanently connect the white box to the black box? Do I need to ask Sky to send out a Sky engineer to make the connection and test it and say everything's okay? And would Sky charge me for that? The OpenReach engineer thinks the customer should not be charged anything regardless of how this is done. So a BT engineer hired by Sky to come and put the white box in, and then somehow a connection made to the black box, either getting a Sky engineer free of charge to come in and make the connection, or another option that I have come across is for me to make the connection, because all it simply is plugging a cable into the white box and then the other end of the cable gets plugged into the black box, is make that connection, phone Sky saying I'm now connected to the fibre optic cables from OpenReach through their white box, can you test it for me? Which they should be able to do remotely. Hopefully everything would then be running okay, and that's it, end of story. But of course, we are talking about Sky, we are talking about BT. It is going to be fun when I phone Sky and say, OpenReach fibre optic cable, I need you to sort out connecting my Sky router to that new system. And asking them, there's no charge for this, is there? And for them to say, what will they say? It's Sky. They'll probably say, no, we can't do it free of charge. We're going to have to charge you for an engineer's call out. Now, will that be a BT engineer, as the OpenReach engineer said it should be, or will it be a Sky engineer? Well, it can't be a Sky engineer because he doesn't have the white box. The white box has to be supplied by a BT engineer. So Sky are going to have to contact BT and say send an engineer to fit the white box. Then the connection to the black box. Can the BT engineer do that? Or does it need a Sky engineer? Or can I do it myself? All fun and games. I am not looking forward to this. Fingers crossed that everything runs smoothly. I will do an update on this once the cabling has actually reached my flat and I have phoned Sky and hopefully got an engineer out free of charge to fit the white box and then sort out the connection to this black box here. So watch out for the next video, which will cover what happens next. Bye everybody.